Good morning. It is a glorious rainy day in April. And I say it's glorious because I have a field. It has crops in it. Let's check it out. Look, look, look. I'm growing something. Oats. See? It's green. And it's growing. It's coming up in the field. The field that I planted and plowed and fertilized and all the things. This rain is amazing. I love it. It does mean I can't plant this other field just yet, because if I try to drive over this field, it's going to become a muddy mess. So I'm going to have to wait a bit for it to dry out, but I am totally willing to do that because I'm farming. Yay! Yeah, I'm so excited. I just can't get over it. I have been to the shop and I have got some more seeds and fertilizer to refill this seeder because I used more than half of it on the other field when I planted this last month. So I need to refill it, but I also got some extra to put in the greenhouses. I don't really want to open the seeder while it's wet. It's probably not good for the seed and the fertilizer in there to get wet. So I'm just going to hold off on refilling that for now. But I have the supplies here to do it. While I was in town, I spoke to Rachel, my awesome mechanic, who is the only person who tells me about used deals. And guess what? They had a used deal at the dealer. And I got it. And Rachel told me about it, not Dan. So we have more of that to deal with. Nonsense. I don't know why I can't get the straps off. I'll fight with it later. So the semi here, my tractor trailer, can haul other things. I can't get the dang straps off. I don't know. I'll have to take this flatbed off, but they have a much higher capacity sort of container car thing. I don't know what you call them. My tipper over here? Yeah, here it is. This has a capacity of a little over 20,000 liters of material. And they had one at the shop used that is a trailered tipper, so it has like a rear axle with some extra wheels. And that is capable of holding up to 60,000 liters of material. So roughly 3 times the capacity of this tipper here. And that's going to be super useful when I start harvesting things and I need to carry grain or whatever I'm growing to the sell points to be able to sell them. So I bought that. It was about $40,000 used. New it would have been, I think, over 80, close to 90. It still needs some work done. Rachel said it needs to have the axle serviced, and I think it has a bearing that's going, so she's going to work on that for me, and it should be ready later this month. That is awesome. I'm so psyched. When I go back to town, I've got to do something about Dan, because he didn't tell me about this equipment again. And I think he got Rachel suspended I don't know exactly. She was pretty closed-mouthed, closed-lipped, tight-lipped about it. I think she didn't want to speak ill of her coworkers and her employer, which I appreciate. But there's something about him. He quoted me the wrong price on that forage harvester header thing, and he has never told me about a single piece of used equipment, even though I told him over and over again, I really need to buy used equipment. And I just can't help but think he had something to do with getting Rachel suspended. So, I don't know. I gotta do something about that. Also, in a pleasant development, that is not Leo. Leo has today off. When I head into town to pick up the new trailered container thing for my semi, I'm going to have coffee with Leo. He suggested it because we both know there is some air that needs clearing after whatever happened in January, and so he suggested let's just sit down in person. We haven't actually met face to face yet. We've only chatted on the phone while he's been flying around, so we're going to talk it out, and hopefully after coffee I will have some better idea of whether Leo is really a friend or maybe some sort of agent of the frontier who's trying to keep tabs on me or feed me misinformation, or who knows. I don't know what to think, but hopefully that will help. I'm trying to deal with my crap. So since it's so rainy right now, maybe I'll just take this stuff off this trailer and then head into town and deal with my errands in town. And maybe by the time I'm done with all that, I can come back out and start planting my second field. I'm so psyched to get something growing over here. That is my plan. So, we'll leave it here for now, and I will talk to you again in a little bit. Ta-ta for now. Okay, I am over here at the shop, and here is my new trailer. And, not gonna lie, y'all, this one might have been a mistake. Do you see how long this is? It's so long. So, the way it attaches, on this particular chassis, this has got like an elongated chassis here for a lot of the flatbed type attachment things that I'm using with this truck. A more traditional tractor trailer would have a shorter chassis with the wheels closer to the cab, and this would be closer to the cab. I've got like, what, 5-6 feet here between the cab and the beginning of this trailer, which means this is so long. It's so far from the cab. Out in the frontier, that's not a problem, but here in town, there are a lot of tight places. So depending on where I'm trying to sell things, I could have a difficult time getting into parking lots or to the sell points for some of the things I would be transporting in this. So I might have made a mistake. We'll find out, I guess. Time will tell. I have some updates on the dealer, but I don't want to really give them to you here in the parking lot, just in case someone hears me. Let me hop in here and let's drive. I'm heading back to the farm, and I'm going to plant now that the rain has stopped. The fields have dried out a little bit. So the dealer, I went in to pick this up, and Dan is off today, which I'm very happy about. So I asked to speak to the general manager. I did. He was a very nice guy, and I explained kind of what's been going on, and I said there might have been a misunderstanding that led to Rachel getting suspended, even though I'm not sure. She was pretty unwilling to talk about it, but I have a feeling it was related. And I explained about all the equipment that I missed out on buying because it was used and Dan just wasn't telling me about it, including that harvester, which I am still sore about. And the dealer, GM, was very apologetic. He said this was the first time he was hearing about this. He said he was aware of Rachel's suspension, and he didn't really want to talk about it because it was a personnel matter, but I can get people to talk about things they don't want to talk about sometimes. And I guess you could say I sweet-talked him. Oh boy, I better close that gate. Uh-oh. I almost drove off. Oh no. That would have been awful. I didn't forget to close it. Nothing to see here. Frontier security. All good. So I got the GM to talk a little bit about Rachel's suspension. And he said that it was because Dan told him a customer had complained that Rachel had been calling them on their personal line and trying to move inventory out of the shop. Used inventory, because that's what Rachel mostly sees because she's a mechanic. So she does a lot of the reconditioning work to refurbish the used equipment. So Dan completely turned it around. I asked Rachel to call me, and he said a customer complained about Rachel calling him. Her. Somebody. Them. So I totally think Dan did that on purpose, and I am the customer. I don't think there's some other customer that Rachel has been bothering. So I told the GM, and he's going to investigate the price discrepancies, the equipment that Dan's sort of not really doing what he ought to be doing as a salesperson, and whether or not the story about Rachel was about me or some other customer. And I hope he gets to the bottom of things, because I am less and less happy to work with Dan in light of everything that's been happening. I don't have a good feeling about him anymore. The other salesman I've worked with a couple times when Dan is not around is Eddie. I really like Eddie. He's been awesome. So I kind of want to just get Eddie to be my salesman, regardless of what happens with Dan. We'll find out about that. I have some other updates, but I think I want to hop in here and just start seeding this other field. I'm going to put some sorghum in here, which is another type of grain, because Jenny says it's really good chicken feed, and I'm still thinking about getting chickens, even though I'm not sure I should. So we'll talk more later, or I'll talk to you more later. I'm going to go into a time lapse now and get this seeding started. See you in a little bit. Okay, we are all done. I have unloaded my unused fertilizer and seed, and I'm going to get this piece of equipment back over to the shop and give you a little more news on the way. I've considered, now that I've got more equipment, I really want to have a place to store it where it's sort of in out of the weather so it can last longer, especially because I'm buying used equipment. It's not brand new already, so it may be missing paint, it may be prone to rust or other issues, so I really need to be taking care of the equipment that I have. I started looking into what kind of buildings or garages or sheds I can get, and I've got it narrowed down to a couple of options. I'm just trying to figure out where on the property I would put them and how much work would be involved if I'd have to level it, because it's kind of hilly all over the place. I talked to Rachel. She pointed out that the more equipment I get, the more I'm not going to want to run it back and forth to the dealer to have it serviced. So I might want to get a workshop on my property so I can actually work on the equipment. She said, she is a saint. She said she will come out and teach me how to do a lot of the servicing, or even will do it on an hourly rate for me, like on the side, outside of working at the dealer. So I will have someone to help me figure out what to do. A lot more willing to give it a try, knowing that I've got someone like Rachel who will come out and help me and not make me feel like an idiot for not knowing things or whatever. It's always, when you're a woman and you're trying to do these things, it's always nicer to have a woman teaching you. A lot of men are great and don't intend to make you feel bad, but it's just so easy to get in your head about it when a man is sort of helping you, teaching you. Feeling judged and imposter syndrome, it's just awful. Speaking of men, that conversation with Leo. So I said, he suggested that we get coffee, and we did. It was really nice, actually, to sit down with him face to face and sort of see him in person, get to know him, get some nuance to the conversation we're having, because I can see his face, see him reacting. And I don't really know what to think about the way that conversation went. What I was hoping to get out of it was to know whether Leo is my friend for real, because I thought he was, or whether he's keeping an eye on me for frontier security or has other ulterior motives. I don't know if I got an answer to that. It does kind of seem like there may be ulterior motives, but maybe not the ones I thought, or maybe there are. Basically, Leo asked me out. He said he would like to date me, and I don't know how I feel about that. Seems like any sort of attempt to date somebody who's in frontier security when I am out there and potentially my life is on the line, or I think my life is on the line, and he can't talk to me about whatever's going on out there, that seems way too complicated. I'm already in my head about whatever happened in January and how Leo fits into all that, especially with his lingering around, which we talked about, and he said that's because he was worried about me. That's all he would say. I can't get more information than that because that would violate security clearance, maybe. I don't know. It's all a little vague. I don't know if he's my type. I mean, I haven't dated anybody since I moved out here, and I wasn't dating anybody seriously when I applied for the lottery anyway. And a lot of things are changing about my life since I moved out here, including me. And I'm not sure I even know what my type is anymore. And I don't know if it's Leo. So even without the frontier security complications, I'm not sure I would want to date him, just because I don't know if I would want to date him. But I'm not sure how to find that out without dating him, so I don't know. I sort of put off answering. And I don't know, like, if it's a real interest on his part, or if it's just another angle for Frontier Security to keep an eye on me and to earn my trust. And the fact that I even have to ask that question means if I were to try to date him, it would probably be doomed anyway, because how can you date somebody you don't trust and who you have that kind of questions about? I don't think it's a good idea, but I'll think on it before I give him an answer. Anyway, this piece of equipment is freaking awesome. It is massive. The working width on it is great. You saw how quickly I was able to finish that seeding, and the fact that it can spread fertilizer and seed at the same time is great. I think this is close to $200,000 if I were to buy this new. I don't feel like I can afford to do that right now. Maybe in a couple of years, maybe I'll just keep renting it, or maybe something else will come up in the meantime that I'll buy used. I'm not sure. But I was really happy to use this, and I would love to own it. This is fantastic. So yeah, I'm going to go inside and turn this piece of equipment in, and I'll see you all in a little bit. Oh no. I turned in that cedar, and while I was inside, Eddie was here today, not Dan. Eddie told me about a piece of used equipment that they have for sale. It's so expensive, but I'm so tempted. It is a John Deere tractor. It is a massive tractor. It's like a 9T or 9R. I don't really understand the letter designations. Basically, it is a massive tractor. Depending on the engine, it can have between 500 and 650 horsepower, and it has tracks on it instead of tires. It is capable of wielding, hauling very large equipment. The type of equipment I would be able to use with it include some bigger cultivators, some larger seeders, although not much larger. There are some seeders that are like pulled behind a seed reservoir on a trailer, so it's like 2 trailers, and that is potentially a much wider working width than what I have. This tractor, I've got it spec'd out with the biggest engine possible. It's only 310 horsepower. That is a big difference from 517 or higher, so I'm real tempted. Mainly the cultivating, and also plowing. I could plow fields. Even the fields that I have now, I'm going to have to plow again at some point in the future. And when I get new fields, I'm going to have to plow them. A larger tractor can use a bigger plow, and the cultivator that I have now is only, I think, 6 meters, which is half the size of most of my other equipment, and you've seen me on video. I have to do so many passes up and down the field with that cultivator. So if I had a bigger tractor, I could have a bigger cultivator if one came up for sale. The tractor is $200,000. It's over 50% off. So at that price, it kind of seems like I would be crazy to not buy it. But also, $200,000 when I only have $550,000 is a lot of money. I need to buy a harvester at some point and a header, and it would be great to buy a seeder so that I'm not renting it. I don't have a silo to store my grain in. I was looking at the prices of that because I would like to have one before I need to harvest this stuff that I just planted. And I think the cheapest silo I found was something like $120,000. So I feel like I'm counting pennies now. I don't have any other big money-making opportunities coming up. I cleared all the sand there was to clear at the moment. I don't know if Paul with the Department of Public Works is going to come through with any other projects, and if he does, how much money I can earn on them. I could look to do some contracts. I think I can get around $10,000 for some work with grass, some like mowing and turning stuff into hay and baling it, or silage depending on the contract. But I've never done that type of work before. I'm not sure I want to get into that. And it's still just $10,000, which is not nothing, but also not $200,000. So I don't know what to do. Maybe I'll just stop this here and try to release this video before the month is up and see if you all have a thought about whether I should buy that tractor. Should I get the much bigger tractor? Should I spend $200,000 on that? What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Thanks. I will see you soon. Ta-ta for now.